Good morning, North Coast. This is JD at Carlsbad campus, and I love getting a chance to meet with you guys in the morning, and I got a daily dose for you today. It takes me back to some of our friends here at the Carlsbad campus who recently got back from an Israel trip. And our favorite tour guide, Ronan, will be driving the tour bus through the desert, and as we cross the Jordan River, he'll say something like, "People, the mighty Jordan." And you look out of the tour bus and there's like this little stream. And you're like, "That's the Jordan River? Are you kidding me?" He goes, "Yeah, the water level is pretty low in Israel right now. And the Jordan is nothing what I expected as you cross it, even near like the town of Jericho." So you've got this desert scape and you've got this little meandering stream now that's the Jordan. But it wasn't always that way. And I know that because I read the Old Testament. And when you go to Joshua 3, which is where I hope you'll open up with me today, we've got the entire nation of Israel camped out beside the mighty Jordan River. And the author of the Bible made it clear that it was at flood stage. So this was no tiny stream. This was a raging river that a generation of Israelites camped out for 3 days. Likely the oldest person in the group, minus Caleb and Joshua, would have been 40, because 40 years earlier, all their parents had come to the same river, had sent spies across it, had seen that there were huge people and fortified cities, and they wimped out and they got scared of the size of their adversary and forgot to trust in the size of their God. So that was 40 years earlier. Fast forward to this crew, this generation of Israelites, they're camped beside the mighty river. And I wonder if God put them there for 3 nights so they could really see how impossible their situation was. That they hear the rumble, that they look at the waters flowing and the mud going through. I wonder, how are we going to get through this? And this is where we pick up the story. Joshua chapter 3. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites set out from Shittim. Yep. And they went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. And after 3 days, the officers went through the camp, giving orders to the people. They said, "When you see the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you're to move out from your positions and follow it." They said, "Okay, you've been camped by the river for 3 nights. You're freaked out by its size. You wonder how you're going to get across. Wait for the ark of the Lord." Oh, this had different meaning to them than it would for you and I, because this Ark of the Covenant, where the stone tablets, the 10 Commandments, were kept inside, was a very holy artifact. They believed it represented the actual presence of God. It was his throne, and only certain people could even carry it or approach it. And these Levites were the priests. They would carry it to the river, and they went on to describe Joshua's instructions for the Levites. And the story continues. The people broke camp to cross the Jordan. The priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. They remind us now the Jordan is at flood stages during the harvest, yet as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water from upstream stopped flowing. It piled up in a heap at a great distance away. And the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, they stopped in the middle of the Jordan and stood on dry ground. And the entire nation of Israel crossed by on dry ground. Amazing story. But it took a bunch of guys called Levites carrying a box that represented the presence of God to do something brave. They had to put their foot in the water. They put their foot in the raging river. Before God showed up and did something miraculous, piled up the water, they crossed through on dry ground. So my question for you this morning is, what river are you camped out next to? What in your life is causing you, man, how is God going to show up and solve this one? Is it a family member? Is it a disease? Is it a new school starting? What is it for you? I know when I'm camped by a river that freaks me out, if I would remember this story and remember that the Levites had to go put their foot in the water and realize it's better to be me than be a Levite, because I don't carry the box that represents God's presence. I carry his very Holy Spirit. And I'm willing to put my foot in the water and watch God show up. That's a pretty powerful nugget this morning. Want to ask you, what's your river? And are you willing to put your foot in the water and trust that God will show up and do something mighty in your life? North Coast, we love doing the journey with you. We love camping by the river with you. Let's follow him together today.